Nearly everybody on this earth began their journey in the same way. Beginning as an egg, throwing a mini dance party in your mother's belly, to your enjoyment and her dismay, and then eventually plopping out when the party was over. For me, I shared much of the same experience, except for one noticeable difference. I had a roommate, my identical twin sister, Cordelia. College students have to learn how to deal with them and their roommates' differences. Instead, my problem has been dealing with our similarities. You see, identical twins are scientifically defined as monozygotic twins, which means that a single sperm fertilizes a single egg to form a zygote that eventually splits into two babies that have 99.9% of the exact same genetical information. On the other hand, there are fraternal twins, which is where a single egg fertilizes a single sperm and then another sperm fertilizes another egg. It's essentially like having two different siblings born at the same time. However, I believe that the identical aspect of the term identical twins is a misnomer, as my and my sister's symmetry doesn't strip us of our individuality, even if we do come from the same egg. Cordelia is the person I've laughed, cried, and smiled with from the very first breath I took. Some could say we are each other's innate diaries, playing witness to each other's struggles as we work to figure out our own places in this world. I am constantly tethered to the person I love above all else. Seemingly, this would be wonderful. And it is. But I also struggle to figure out what my role as an individual is and what that even looks like when you're a twin. Cordelia and I have such a strong connection. And often when we encounter scenarios where people can't distinguish us and often don't want to put in the effort to figure out who we are as individuals, we often have to dissuade ourselves from projecting the full image of who we are. As most people's perceptions of twins come from the movies, The Parent Trap, for example, where the set of twins in that, they only need to wear the same dang yellow sweater for everybody, and I mean everybody, including their own parents, to be at a total loss in regards to who is who. Or take the horror movie, The Shining, as an example. The set of twins in that, their matching outfits are used to emphasize not only their interchangeability, but their existence as one homogeneous entity. Am I a sassy, scheming menace who may or may not be British and or from Boston? Or am I a terrifying vision who will toy with your conception of what is real or unreal? I report, you decide. Cordelia and I don't have twin telepathy, nor do we have a special twin language. Yet our connection is so strong that our parents often refer to us as an old married couple, with the way we can communicate with a simple glance of the eyes or a touch of the hand. However, growing up, we were known as the Tuckers, the twins, the Tucker twins, but never as Elizabeth and Cordelia. We were singular, combined, fused, and morphed into one. On our third birthday, our nanny needed us to wear hats, and mind you, she had been beside us since birth, with our names scrawled across them, because otherwise she couldn't tell us apart. Ooh. As we grew older, our friends would often post us for our birthday, and often their dedications, albeit well-intended, will come in the form of a singular post. And in our existence as one homogeneous entity, this fact would make us ponder whether we had one birthday or two. This is why I need a therapist who has PhDs in number theory and philosophy. If you happen to know of any, then I think you know who you should be seeing after this. But I want to be known as unique and fabulous in my own special way. Identical twins are often seen as exact copies of one another. However, recent science now shows that identical twins are not as identical as previously perceived. In 2021, scientists examined 381 pairs of twins. What they found was that not only did these pairs of twins' DNA vary on average by 5.2 changes or mutations, but also for 39 pairs of these twins, they had over 100 differences. Another field in which identical twins differ is that of epigenetics. Epigenetics is the study of how your behavior and your environment can affect how your genes work. Even if Cordelia and I have the same genes, epigenetic factors like sun exposure or exercise will affect how much our genes work, more or less. A common analogy that is used to describe this predicament is if identical twins are like two identical factories with the exact same machinery, then epigenetics is like having two different managerial teams who handle the factories differently to produce different outputs. Cordelia and I, like all people, have unique fingerprints. In fact, if I went up to a passerby on the street and I showed them a photo of my fingerprint and a photo of her fingerprint and asked that passerby what they thought our relationship was, they might think, oh, unrelated, strangers, in fact. I'm not saying I'm going to shove a photo of my fingerprint into the face of every person that I meet, yet I can't help but ponder on how maybe my fingerprint can afford me a small thimble of individuality that I've yearned for my entire life. On April Fool's Day in 5th grade, Cordelia and I thought it would be a riotously hilarious idea for us to switch places. How original, I know. Yet when we did, we realized that our classmates, our teachers, and even our best friends didn't even notice what we had done. I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be a special snowflake, and every snowflake is different, right? But adages and jokes aside, Cordelia and I felt as though April Fool's Day had made a fool out of the both of us, as not only were we silly enough to think that people could tell us apart, but also that they would want to. We considered, of course, the very rational option of moving away to a desert island, sacking all our friends and teachers, and spending the rest of our lives fermenting there alone. Yet we also realized that in some ways our connection hinders us. To be recognized and valued as individuals, we would have to weaken our bond to make ourselves stronger, even at great cost. Right now, Cordelia goes to school, thousands of miles away in England, a real inverse parent trap situation, I mind you, yet my heart winces with every second that passes by without her. Yet in some ways I do realize that our separation, even if cross-continental, has finally allowed us to fulfill the individualized roles we've always yearned to play. My heart, within it, there is always a whispering reminder that makes me wish I was never born this way. Cordelia and I, 16 years of shared experience, from womb till now, we have finally decided to discover who we are as Cordelia and Elizabeth. And if we were really two rather than one, then we would end up causing twice the trouble. I mean, twice the change we wish to see in the world. As two, not one, threads in the rich tapestry we call life. Thank you.